Welcome to this episode of the Conscious Business Coffee Break, where we take a few moments to explore what's happening in the conscious business movement, expand awareness, and importantly, encourage your efforts in conscious business. Greetings, everyone. I'm Stephen Donaco of the Conscious Business Enterprise, a division of Humanities team. And today on the coffee break, Principle 7 of the Conscious Business Declaration, aligned with oneness. Business is the most powerful engine on earth. So this is the last of the conscious business principles in the Conscious Business Declaration. And let me start with a preamble to the declaration itself. As a global community of business leaders, we are committed to developing the awareness and skills needed to consciously evolve our organizations in alignment with these principles. So today we look at Principle 7, which is when aligned with oneness, business is the most powerful engine on earth for creating prosperity and flourishing for all. So I'd say Principle 7 is the bookend to Principle 1. And if you recall Principle 1, it defines oneness as that single reality that we are all interrelated, interconnected, and interdependent. So then we get to Principle 7, which is affirming that when aligned with oneness, business is this powerful engine. And I would say it's not, to me personally, it's not just the most powerful engine on its own, but it becomes among the most powerful engines on earth for creating prosperity and flourishing for all. And I'll say more about that in a moment. But oneness implies a cooperative world. So business that operates apart, separate, and self-exalted from humanity has been forceful. It has imposed its force upon the world. But business operating in oneness, in cooperation with the world, is operating to be fully interested with all other institutions and all of humanity. So business moves from being fully self-interested at the expense of humanity and the planet to being fully cooperative and flourishing with humanity and the planet. So business that is fully cooperative with all institutions of the human community, including society, government, education, politics, and the arts, is that it is operating from a consciousness of oneness. It evolves from being self-interested, harmful, and dangerous even, to being fully a force for good. So business operating from a consciousness of oneness cooperates and it flourishes in support of all things from which it had formerly extracted and that had suffered due to business selfish interest previously. So even more powerfully than all those institutions that I just named, like education and government and society and the arts, all of those institutions and really all of humanity will want to support and contribute to the flourishing of business. So when business is operating from a consciousness of oneness, then it automatically attracts even all the more strongly the support of all of humanity and all of human institutions to invite society, to invite customers, to invite investors, to invite humanity to cooperate with and support it. And it becomes a flourishing consciousness. So in the old paradigm of business, we feel like we're dependent on business because we're operating from a consciousness of limitation, of scarcity, that we have to engage and support business because without it, there isn't enough. And business has either all the answers, or it has all of the goods, it has all of the resources, or it has all the means of extracting the resources. So therefore, we are dependent on business in an unhealthy in relationship with it. But as a force for good in the spirit of oneness, business then instead invites society and customers and investors to cooperate with it and to support it, because then we understand that business alone cannot be self-supportive, and business is going to operate in the spirit of that as much as we are. So let's review the Conscious Business Declaration from the top. Principle 1 is we are one with all of humanity and all of life. Business and all institutions of the human community are integral parts of a single reality, interrelated, interconnected, and interdependent. Principle 2, in line with the reality that we are one, the purpose of business is to increase economic prosperity while contributing to a healthy environment and improving human well-being. Principle 3, business must go beyond sustainability and the philosophy of do no harm to instead restoring the self-renewing integrity of the earth, that is, the earth's ability to heal itself. Principle 4, business must operate with economic, social, and ecological transparency. And this is where, when that happens, we will come to trust and support business naturally rather than be suspicious and fearful of it. Principle 5, business must behave as a positive and proactive member of the local and global communities in which it operates, because frankly, it operates globally and it is interconnected, interrelated, and interdependent with all. Principle 6, business that sees, honors, and celebrates the essential interconnected nature of all human beings and all life maximizes human potential and helps create a world that works for all. And then finally, today, Principle 7, when aligned with oneness, business is the most powerful engine on earth for creating prosperity and flourishing for all, and especially in cooperation with all of those other institutions of the human community, with humanity itself, because business itself is interconnected. So however it is that you participate in business yourself, and we all do to some extent, and really we do probably more than we even realize that we do. We participate as consumers, as customers, as employees, managers, executives, contractors, stockholders, or owners. However it is you participate, and it's going to be in one or many of those things I just mentioned. Be mindful of these principles of the Conscious Business Declaration. Operate by them and live them as best you're able, because you've woken up. You've woken up to the principles of the Conscious Business Declaration. And when you've woken up to them, you'll find that there's little to no compromise in the way that you operate in the world, in the business world, as a consumer, as a customer, as an employee, as an owner, as a stockholder, as a stakeholder. So the more you embody the principles and the more that you are conscious of them, the more you serve as an example to other people on the planet, and they will become interested in supporting the principles of the Conscious Business Declaration themselves. So if you haven't already, as always, I encourage you to check out the Conscious Business Declaration online, consciousbusinessdeclaration.org. And if you really feel in resonance with all those principles and you haven't signed the declaration yet, you can do that right there online and pass that along to others. Share the link in your contacts with others through your social media, and let people know that this is out there, and that where we are at in the world today, where we're at in the shifting of our consciousness from a separateness to a oneness, from lack and limitation and scarcity to prosperity and abundance and flourishing. The Conscious Business Declaration is a powerful statement that you can make and that everyone can make to support the shift that is happening right now in the world. So I encourage you to refamiliarize yourself with it, familiarize yourself with it if you haven't become already, sign it and live it. And you'll find that it actually comes naturally. There's no human effort involved. It really just becomes part of the fiber of your being. So thank you for joining me today on this episode of the Conscious Business Coffee Break, where it was just been a pleasure to go through the principles of the Declaration these past several episodes. And we'll see you again next week on Wednesday, 9 a.m. U.S. Central Time for another edition of the Conscious Business Coffee Break. Have a great weekend, everyone.